Ooh yeah, what you gonna do, brother? Good grief, you are a chuffing gaming nerd. Okay, I know, you've seen the title, just calm down, give me a minute. If you did stumble across this video and you don't know anything about me, my name is Simon Miller and I'm a massive Zelda fan. I'm such a big Zelda fan, I actually replay Ocarina of Time once every year because I'm a loser and a massive nerd. However, after sinking a lot of time into Breath of the Wild, there's only one conclusion I can come to, and that's this. I don't like it. Given I found a way to enjoy Zelda 2, well, that's a big thing for me to say. This is basically now the equivalent of Alcoholics Anonymous, where there is no booze, and I'm certainly not anonymous. Again though, in no way am I saying that Breath of the Wild is a bad game, and if anything, what Nintendo has actually been able to create here is fascinating and incredible. The ability to develop an open world that feels the way Hyrule does is no small feat, and the sheer magnitude of the experience is at times overwhelming. It takes a certain something to even know how to make this a reality, and to do it with so much skill and thought, well, you've got to put your hands up in the air and give it to Nintendo. There's no one else like them. This goes for the way it handles its business too. In a modern era of gaming where the bottom line is everything and trying to attract new players is basically the #1 goal, Nintendo decided to throw caution to the wind and make Zelda for the Switch one of the most free experiences you can imagine. Hand-holding was lobbed out the window in favour of just sticking you in the world and yelling at you to get on with it. Right down to the fact you don't even need certain items to finish it, and that includes the Master Sword. That would have been unheard of before, but it's just more evidence that Nintendo had a very good idea of what they were hoping to achieve. They wanted to start again almost, and they pulled it off. Breath of the Wild is stunning. And it looks great too, and it shows off what the Nintendo Switch is capable of, and when we get to the end of the year, it's probably going to be a lot of people's Game of the Year. So why don't I like it? What is wrong with me? Pull back the curtain all the way and throw a big honesty ball in your face. The simple truth is I just prefer what Zelda was before. That doesn't mean Nintendo shouldn't have done this, but even with years of the same template, the Zelda franchise has still never worn on me. And there were such big gaps between entries, it was almost like catching up with an old friend you haven't seen for years. It may have been a while, but you're back to how you always were in seconds, and that feels good. I always thought this may be the case if Nintendo ever changed the format, because I've never once criticised it. Even Twilight Princess, which at the time seemed to be in for some criticism, was awesome to me, and while Skyward Sword suffered due to a lack of inspiration more than anything else, the idea was still solid. I just love the whole shtick of going to dungeon, getting a necessary item or weapon within it, and then going on to whatever is next. And sure, Breath of the Wild still does that. There are crossovers here of course, and it still does a great job in making progression feel more than just going through the motions. In fact, it probably does it better on the Switch simply because it feels so open. You're always left guessing as to exactly how much you've achieved and what's left, but that's just missing something for me. And it does make me part of the problem, and I'm more than happy to say I am part of the problem, because what I'm doing here is I'm telling a developer, I'm telling Nintendo not to change with the times, not to learn from all the little technology things that we're all learning and just stick to everything they did in the past. I mean, that's lazy. I'm basically asking Nintendo to be lazy. With that said, Breath of the Wild just lacked the moments I expect from a Zelda game. And again, that's not saying the moments aren't there. They are. But they're moments that are unique to you depending on which direction you head in or what situation you find yourself in. And those just aren't as good as the ones Nintendo had perfected previously. Take for example the Nintendo 64 classic where you do grab that Master Sword for the first time and you pull it out of that big stone, and then all of a sudden you zoom forward into the future. That is badass, there's no two ways about it, and it makes you feel like you're a part of something, and it makes you feel like something different has happened, like no other game ever has ever done something like this. I didn't have that sensation once playing Breath of the Wild, and while there were certain explosions that did put a smile on my face, it didn't carry this weight, it didn't carry this magnitude. They felt like tiny little things all pieced together, as aside from massive punches in the face that broke my jaw. I need those jaw punches. I'm an idiot. It's also a case of just not enjoying a lot of new game mechanics which have become a part of the modern day. I hate stamina bars because it's awful in real life, so why would I want it in a game? And the whole cooking stuff did nothing for me. I just don't like survival mechanics, so dying because I got cold makes me sad. I'm the first to say that actually isn't anything new to Zelda too, because the concept of different coloured tunics depending where you are has been a staple for years. But whereas before it was more of a mix and match idea, here it could still whoop your ass regardless. Sometimes I don't want to die. Hell, sometimes I don't even want to challenge. I just want to sit back and enjoy the ride, like one of those shitty train things at a kid's amusement park. In many ways, it's ridiculous for me to even say this because these previous games already exist. There are countless Zelda titles I can return to and still enjoy, so waving my little flag around in some sort of awful protest is nonsense. Nintendo has already perfected a formula I love, and there's no reason they shouldn't try and open that bracket up to others. That doesn't stop me feeling a little like a Zelda game has come along and it just isn't for me, and that's strange. I think ultimately I'd have just rather this new tact have been applied to something different. Maybe a new character altogether. Basically, I've been playing Zelda for half my life, so if anything comes along that doesn't tick my boxes or make me feel special, I throw my toys out the pram. I get upset, I get confused. What are you doing to me, Nintendo? What are you doing? I was comfortable basically, and then Nintendo came along and shook me around and changed everything up when I wasn't ready for it. And that's great by and large, it really is, because what they did is they took a risk, and if you look at the wider appeal, it pulled off. Everybody loves it. I can't help it though. I've sat down to play Breath of the Wild time and time again and constantly realise I'm forcing myself to do it instead of being lost within it for hours. Before, that was always the way and I would get lost, but it really isn't the case here. Then I just go and play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe instead, which, by the way, could be the best racing game ever made. I mean that too. Overall, it's an odd situation, really. I can see the effort and sheer genius that has gone into Breath of the Wild, and it's flawless on some levels, a genuinely incredible creation from top to bottom. It's not for me, however, and while yeah, that could be me pasting my own expectations and emotions over it too much, what else can I do? Fact is a fact. And if you do have one of these facts, you may as well throw it out there on the internet, because who wouldn't want to read those? The Empowering is a weekly series sponsored by Patreon, so please click the link in the video or the description or go to patreon.com/Simon316 to support. Otherwise, these videos will die. Like, share and subscribe and do whatever else you want to do. Whatever you want to do, I support you in it legally.